and welcome to the Linc Sports Show. I'm Elliot Hawkins, and joining me in the studio tonight are Linc Sport reporters Kieran Hymas and Liam Gibbs. We start with Lincoln City, and the Imps face promotion rivals Aldershot Town at Sincil Bank on Saturday. Danny Cowley's side are looking to make it 10 matches unbeaten in all competitions after beating Altrincham 2-1 in the FA Cup first round last weekend. Cowley will be hoping for another good performance on Saturday against a strong Aldershot side.
They look to try to press with energy, and when they can't press with energy, they get good shape. So they're an organised team. They're a well coached, well drilled team. We're clear of that. You know, they're like all teams at this level, us included. There are weaknesses and there are areas that we will try to exploit. I'm not going to shout them from the rooftops at this current point, but no, we will look to try to organise ourselves as we always do, and try to deal with their strengths and exploit their areas that we think we can target.
So guys, a big game for Lincoln this weekend, looking to maintain second in the league. What do you make of their chances?
I think they'll be confident going into it. Aldershot, of course, are a good side. They're sitting in sixth, fringes of the playoffs, but Lincoln, second and second in the league, just off that automatic promotion spot, and they'll be looking to keep up the pressure on the sides around them. Aldershot have lost 2 of the last 3 against Forest Green and Dagenham, 2 of the other sides up the top. So I think Danny Cowley will be wanting to record another 3 points to try and keep up the pressure on those 2 sides and keep up City's momentum.
I mean, 10 games unbeaten, what a great feat that would be. That is the kind of form that's going to get you promoted into League 2. I think that he's going to be happy with his cup performances as well. You'd hope that that would be more of a good thing for him rather than a hindrance in the future. I don't think it'll cause them too many fitness problems. The fact that, as we're going to speak about later, they're confident loaning people out, which means they must be happy with his squad depth and where his team's at. And I think he should be, because they've had a great run of performances. They don't look like they're showing any signs of slipping, and I think they're going to be a real test for Aldershot this weekend.
It would be a fantastic win for Lincoln if they could get it. City midfielder Taylor Miles is set to be sent out on a 1-month loan. The 21-year-old is available after recovering from a fractured ankle suffered against Woking on the opening day of the season. Cowley believes Miles needs more game time to benefit his long-term development at the club.
Potentially we'll look to get Taylor out and get him out on loan for a month. You have to remember he's a very young boy, Taylor, so he's still a young boy, and he's got lots of developing to do. He's, you know, technically he's unbelievable footballer, but for him to achieve his potential, he's got to play regularly, and we never want to starve our young players of football. So the ideal probably will be to get Taylor out and playing, and that's, you know, that will be at the short-term detriment of the team, because he's certainly someone that can have an impact on the team short-term, but we've got a responsibility to look after his long-term development. So from a long-term point of view, getting him out playing for 28 days and playing regularly, I think will help him and subsequently help the team in the second half of the season.
So Liam, do you believe it was a good decision to send him out on loan?
I think it will be. I think it'll be really beneficial for Taylor Miles to go out on loan and recover some fitness, match sharpness, and more importantly form. Obviously, having been out for a long while with a fractured ankle, it's a serious injury. He's going to have to regain confidence in his ankle and confidence in his form going forward. It'll be interesting to see at what level he does go out on loan, at what level Danny Cowley thinks that he can do it.
And Cowley says he's an exciting prospect. Do you think he's one for the future?
I mean, this is a player that Danny Cowley believes in. Even though he didn't get too many games at Braintree with him, he said that he underused him in the media. He's brought him with him Concord, Braintree and Lincoln. So he's obviously seen something that obviously we haven't been able to see yet, unfortunately, due to the injury. You'd like to think that this loan move could really be the making of him, because when he came to the club, Danny Cowley believed that he was at the first team standard already. Obviously, he might not have been able to get in there, but I reckon this could be his chance.
Definitely looks an exciting prospect. The Imps will host League One side Oldham Athletic in the second round of the FA Cup. Cowley's side were drawn out first, meaning they'll host the Latics at Sincil Bank on Saturday the 3rd of December. City are currently 26 league places below their opponents, but home advantage will give City confidence of making it through to the 3rd round. Guys, big draw for Lincoln. What do you make of it?
I think it's got a real upset potential. City, of course, flying high in the National League. Oldham struggling in League One. It's got potential for a TV tie as well, which I think would be really beneficial for the club. And it could be a very interesting one, and of course the one win away from the third round and potentially drawing a Premier League side.
I mean, if they do get the TV, then I think this is a great draw, and it's going to bring them a lot of money. But if they don't get TV, I think they could have gone a lot better. For them, they're going to either want a super winnable tie, someone around their league, or someone just a little bit above, or they're going to want a big money-making one, Sheffield United, your Boltons. For me, if they don't get on TV, Oldham's just one of those that, yeah, they're not doing too good in League One, but form goes out the window when they're in the cup. So they're a dangerous side. There's a lot of places between them, and if they went out to Oldham, they're not going to get the money from the attendances or anything like that. So I'm a bit gutted for them in terms of who they did get. Hopefully it will be a good game. If they do get TV, then no doubt it's going to benefit them. But I'm not sure if that would have been the draw that they definitely would have wanted.
And as you say, there is a chance of them getting TV coverage. £70,000 if they do. That's a lot of money for a club of their size.
It's a lot of money for any non-league club. Of course, City are a big non-league club, but it's a lot of money for any side in the National League. Potentially playing on the BBC to a nationwide audience would be huge for them.
Moving on to Lincoln United now, and the Whites travel to inform AFC Rushden and Diamonds in the FA Trophy's second qualifying round on Saturday. Sam Wilkinson's side are now unbeaten in their last 3 games following their 1-1 draw with Carlton Town at the weekend. But they go up against a Diamond side who haven't lost any of their last 9 in all competitions. United have a point to prove, having failed to win on the road since their 3-1 win over Romulus in the last round of the competition. So, what do you make of their chances in this tie?
I don't think it's a great draw for them. I think they'll be a little bit gutted to have been drawn away to a side who are in a really good surge of form at the minute in Rushden and Diamonds. It's going to be an interesting test for the back line as well. They've tightened up a little bit in recent weeks with a 0-0 draw at Belper, a 1-1 draw at Carlton. This after conceding goals galore, really, in the month or so before that. So it just looks as though they may be steadying the ship slightly at the back, which I think will... Sam Wilkinson, will have a little bit more confidence in that now going into Saturday's game.
In terms of goal scoring, Jordan Hempstall is in great form at the moment. He must be a big player going forward for the team.
I mean, when you've got McGovern out, they needed that person to come in, provide the goals, and Hempstall has been doing that as of late, and he's been doing it consistently. So it's really good to have for Lincoln United to have those people that they can draw upon. You did mention the scoring goals, defending. They're just having those run of games where they're either conceding loads, but they're scoring a lot as well, or they're struggling to score and they're keeping it tight at the back. Sam Wilkinson will just want to keep that happy medium. But the draws are a sign of improvement, and hopefully they can find that soon.
Just going back to Jordan Hempstall for a minute as well, 8 goals in 6 games, but he brings so much more to the side than just goals as well. His hold-up play is really good. He brings others into play, and I think he's bringing the best out of Matt Cotton as well.
Definitely. Well, it'll be interesting to see how they get on at the weekend. In national news, England take on Scotland at Wembley tomorrow night, looking to strengthen their position at the top of their World Cup qualifying group. But the main talking point heading into the game has been dominated by off-field matters and whether or not the sides will wear poppies to commemorate Armistice Day. England are unbeaten in their opening 3 group games after being held to a disappointing 0-0 draw against Slovenia last time out. So guys, we're going to start with the poppies. FIFA say they won't allow it. What do you make of England's decision to go ahead and wear the poppies for the game?
I think it's unacceptable. I completely disagree. The justification that they're using is it's either political or it's religious, and for me it's neither. It's a sign of respect, which makes me think that FIFA don't really understand what it's about. But that's just my opinion. I am really impressed by the way that the FA has stood up for the Armistice Day, and they are saying that they're still going to wear poppies. I know it really means a lot to a lot of the people in the community around here. I've spoken to someone who's been in the forces, and they're talking about possibly writing letters personally just to thank the FA for doing this. It's something that they've defended the honour of these people, and I think it's right that they do. They've given up a lot for this, and I just don't think FIFA understands really, and I do disagree with the decision.
But I think it's something that the FA do feel quite strongly about, trying to remembering those who've fallen in past conflicts, and it's just a strange decision from FIFA, having previously allowed poppies to now not allow them. It's a strange one.
Can you see their decision changing in the future, FIFA?
They tend to be quite stubborn, don't they, at FIFA? So possibly not, but it's one to certainly look out for in the future years.
In terms of the game itself, England-Scotland, big game. Gareth Southgate needs to get a lot more out of his team in this one.
This is the last one he's got really to prove himself. Personally, I think he might already have the job, and I think we're going to put a good performance in against Scotland. I think we'll do the job. I think Scotland are probably going to put a lot behind the ball, but I think we've got a good enough side to get through it. I think Southgate will be able to get through it, and I wouldn't be surprised if he got the job at the end of this tie.
And on the topic of, sorry, go on, carry on.
I was going to say Scotland will put a lot behind the ball, but then it'll be a big test of Southgate's tactical nous to see if he can break them down and he can organise his side and break Scotland down.
Definitely. And on the topic of England players, Joey Barton this week has terminated his contract with Rangers. What do you make of that news?
He's always in the papers, really, isn't he? He's one of those. We don't know exactly what happened. Obviously, there was a bit of a kerfuffle with the manager, I've assumed, and then I think there's the players as well. Nothing's been going well for him there. Although, to be fair, his performances weren't bad for Rangers, which is a shame. There's a lot of clubs that are still interested in him. There's a lot of clubs that still see the player that he is, despite him having these off-field antics. Sean Dyche hasn't written off a move going back in for him. And I wouldn't be surprised if he did return to Burnley because he was a good player there and he really did a job for him and they need someone like that. He is a top player and he can still play in the top leagues, but he is always going to come with that baggage and it's whether someone's able to take that on.
Yeah, but there's no denying he is a top player. To cricket now, and England have taken a commanding lead in the first Test match against India. On day one, England finished on 311 for 4, with Joe Root scoring his 11th Test 100, eventually being caught and bowled by Yadav for 124. England continued to dominate on day two, with Moeen Ali reaching a century before being bowled by Shami for 117. Ben Stokes was England's third centurion of the innings, scoring 128, and the visitors finished with a total of 537. India will resume play on day 3, 63 without loss. Good performance for Stokes, 128. What did you make of his performance?
Yeah, you know what you're going to get from Ben Stokes. He's going to bring that counter-attacking style. He's going to look to get on top of the opposition bowlers, and I thought he did that really well. He had to see Moeen Ali through to his 100. Of course, Moeen was 99 not out overnight. Moeen got to his 100 pretty quickly, and then Stokes really capitalised on that. And along with Johnny Bairstow, actually, I thought played well for his 40-odd. He thought he played really well and was fully deserving of another 100.
They haven't put it away yet, but they do know now that it's going to be, if India are going to come back, it's going to go to the 4th day. So they put themselves in a good position, I'd say.
And Hamid, 19 years old, making his debut. England's youngest opening batsman at 19 years of age. What did you make of his performance on his debut? I
think it was the right decision to bring him in. I thought Gary Ballance really struggled in Bangladesh, and I don't think the selectors could really justify playing him in India. I think it's the right move to move Ben Duckett down to number 4 and open with Hamid. It can be a real test. I thought he acquitted himself fairly well on debut, but it's going to be interesting to see how he adapts to conditions in the subcontinent, having grown up in Bolton. It's going to be quite difficult for him, and a real test against the world's number 1 side. Definitely, well, it's going to be an interesting watch for sure. The Brazilian Grand Prix takes place this weekend, with Lewis Hamilton hoping to stop Mercedes teammate Nico Rosberg from claiming the title. Rosberg will seal the championship if he wins in Interlagos, as he currently has a 19-point advantage over Hamilton in the standings. The Briton has never won in Brazil, but he'll need the victory to maintain a realistic chance of winning the championship for the 2nd season in a row. So, Kieran, Hamilton has won his last 2 races. Do you think you can do it again?
He's coming in with great form. You can't deny that. He is going to have in the back of his mind that he hasn't won the Brazil Grand Prix yet, and it'll be interesting to see whether that does affect him. But he said in the media he's got nothing to lose now. If he wants to be going and catching up with Rosberg, he needs to be winning races like this, and he needs to get over that stigma of not winning it before. For me, if he does want to be champion, he's got to get rid of it. He's got to make sure that he wins it. But Rosberg's not going to be an easy one to beat, is he? So we'll just have to see. But I think Rosberg's got it in the bag. He's won his last 2 races from pole position as well. I think that's another crucial point for him. He's got to try and get on pole again.
And what an amazing turnaround it would be if he could win the championship from this point.
Yeah, with 43 points behind Rosberg after 5 races of the season, he's done really well to even be in with a shout of still winning his title. It'd be one of the great comebacks.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to tennis now, and Andy Murray will be competing in the ATP Tour Finals in London on Monday. and will be looking to finish the year as world #1. Murray has to match or better any result by Novak Djokovic to maintain his #1 title for the rest of the year as the tennis season comes to a close. Murray, who's had an incredible year, winning Olympic gold for the 2nd time, as well as another Wimbledon title, will face Marin Cilic, Stan Wawrinka and Kai Nishikori in London. So guys, how do we think that Murray is going to end the season?
You'd like to think it'd be on a high. He's worked so hard to get himself in this #1 position for the first time in his career. You wouldn't want to see it just slip like that. I don't think we're seeing the same Djokovic that we were a few years ago. And I think that Murray's going to be able to maintain his place at the top for a little bit until they do see a suitable challenger. There's lots on the fringes, but it's just going to take a little bit. And I think Murray's at a point in his career where he can dictate tennis at the moment. I would hope that he doesn't get complacent and he doesn't let it go to his head. He has had a past of getting a bit frustrated, but in my opinion, ever since winning Wimbledon, the Olympics, he just seems to have matured as a player. He looks a top player rather than just someone who's knocking at the door, and I think he's got that back in now. For me, he just holds himself in a completely different way, and I expect him to finish this year #1.
It's been such a big year for him, hasn't it? On and off the court, with, of course, Wimbledon title, Olympics title, and the birth of his first child as well. I think that's really developed him personally and professionally on the court. And I think it's going to be really good to see if he can finish the year as #1.
Do you think you could say Andy Murray, not just in tennis, but British sport as a whole, is one of the greatest we've seen in this country?
Without a doubt. You know, I can't think back to... We've had a lot of success in Britain in different sports, but tennis is such a competitive one. And just to be able to keep up with those people at the top of the game, and in the era of, you know, your Nadal's, when he, you know, obviously he's not hitting the same kind of form now, but when he was, fantastic player. Federer, Djokovic, and he still managed to keep himself up there consistently. There's not a lot of sports that do that. You know, I'm not discrediting anyone, but there's a lot of sports that there isn't as much competition. It's not as renowned worldwide. To be able to keep his temperament, to be able to keep his head in the game rather than getting the media attention, to be able to manage to work his way up to the top, I don't think you can ever say that Murray isn't one of GB's finest.
It's been such a good era of men's tennis as well, and I think Murray showed a lot of mental strength to carry on in sort of 3rd, 4th place when Nadal and Federer were at the top of their games. And now Nadal's been hit by injuries. Federer's not at the top of his game either, and he's really coming to the fore now, Andy Murray, and I think it's testament to the way he battled through in previous years.
Definitely, and it's great to see. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for this week. Thank you to Kieran and Liam. Make sure you tune in next week for all the latest local and national sports news. Until then, goodbye.